906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Orion Hunting Products. The UP is home to a wealth of great places, natural wonders, and unique people. It's also a land steeped in tradition. Traditions like hunting, and in many cases, hunting means going to camp.
See how priorities changed over the years because for me it's just getting out there and being alive out there, and these guys on the far end over here, they want to still shoot the buck, which I did too in my day, but it's more than shooting the buck as we get older. It's about just being together, and then it's a bonus when we shoot
just
the buck.
Being out there.
Yeah.
Sit back, put your feet up and the remote down, and stick around for this special edition of 906 Outdoors UP Camp Stories.
Up here, we just turn back the clock, live life the way we want it to be.
9 million acres of forest, 1,700 miles of continuous shoreline, 4,300 lakes, 12,000 miles of streams, more than 300 waterfalls, 15 counties, 2 time zones, and 1 area code. Welcome to the Upper Peninsula. Welcome to 906 Outdoors. .906 Outdoors is brought to you by Cooking Wild Seasonings. Make it fresh, make it yours. Deer season is a special time of year for many of us. Sure, some meat in the freezer, maybe some antlers on the wall, but really that's not it at all. It's the anticipation, the thrill of the hunt, and the stories that last for years. It's the fellowship between friends and other hunters. All of that and so much more. For many of us, it's deer camp. The words deer camp should not be confused with the camp. The camp is simply the location where deer camp takes place. Deer camp is about friends, camaraderie, traditions, hunting, laughing, food, drinks, stories, and so much more. All of that rolled into 2 words, deer camp. I headed north for a visit with the crew at Twin Lakes Camp. This camp, like many camps, has a history that dates back many years.
62 years Louie and I hunted together. 62 years. Yeah. The old timers. Yeah, that's a long time, boy. 62 years.
And along with many years comes many stories.
It's exactly 7 miles. And all uphill, Buck. All uphill.
And no snow on the ground.
And no snow on the ground.
The camp has changed, some of the people have changed, but the meaning of deer camp has not.
We're here at the Twin Lakes Camp. The original camp, which consists of this room only, was built in 1938. They added the second kitchen part of the camp in 1940, and the original gang, and then now our gang, has been hunting here ever since. First started with my dad Solomon and a man named Pete Nelly, Louis Lombardi, his brother Butch Lombardi, and Marty Iskra Sr., which we all call Teeny. And basically that was the crew. And then my cousin, who's at camp today, who is 83 years old, Jack Tadiucci, started in 1949. This is my 55th year of hunting. I started in 1963. My buddy Marty started a year later in 1964. So he and I have been hunting for 54 years together so far. And we've been having loads of fun.
We started off hunting snowshoe rabbits with our dads. And that was we were 12 years old. He's a year older than I am, so I started in 62 and he started in 61. And then in 64 I started hunting deer with my dad and the crew. That's a few years of hunting together. Yep, yeah, some good traditions and great memories of hunting together. Yeah.
And now we added a few new people. Marty's brother-in-law, Jeff Fitzner, is here. My son-in-law, Matt Skidda from Michigami, is here. Marty's son, Chris, is up here. And our good neighbors, Larry and Jesse Jutnan. And Dave Sivanen from Painesville is here. And that's basically what our gang is today. We try to carry on to the tradition that the old-timers set, and we've been having a ball. I wish it'd never end. Deer hunting comes slow. And when the season starts, it seems like it lasts 10 seconds and it's over. It's just one of those things, but hopefully, my dad and Louie hunted for 67 years together, so Marty and I will have to be in our mid-80s to beat their record, so we're gonna try. But it's just been a ball hunting here.
906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Christ, your Northwoods neighborhood store.
Yeah, we got and met Buck. He got into contact somehow with my dad about doing a piece at the deer camp. I don't know how he got the information. I have no idea. But he wanted to do a story about my dad and Louis, who were the longest members of the deer camp. So in 1992, he came up here. He stayed 2 nights with us. Did a lot of interviewing, did a lot of taping, and got a lot of stories. Of course, Dad and Louis were famous at telling stories.
Yeah. Oh, the big one got up and he was so thick, bone fire, and you know, when you hit right, it will go through. And then, you know, he went, oh, you could see the horns, you know, boy. But he said, Johnny said, boy, your shots are perfect, but couldn't go through. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. That's when I sneaked up on you.
That's right.
Our hunting party got so large that everybody wouldn't fit in here, so there is a second camp approximately 6 miles from here. It's called the Capone Creek Lodge, basically built on a hillside at the confluence of the Capone and the creek and the Misery River.
And that's where we stay now. My brother-in-law and I and my son and Dave. My dad and Saul and Pete Nelly, who was one of the crew, had a loggers warming shack hauled out in the woods. And in 2019, it's going to be 50 years that they hauled that camp out there.
Well, from here, 52 years.
Yeah, but you said.
That, 1941. Yeah. And then 41. But before that, we had the Lone Eagle camp in Winona. 1930.
Yeah, that's the year we built it.
And we had it till 1934, and they burnt it.
There's a bunch from Winona, I guess. They were jealous of us.
I think
We
so
were
too.
catching too much deer game.
Yeah, they were jealous, that's all it's right.
Rabbit, quite one year we had, 100 rabbits on that pole?
109.
109 rabbits. Yeah. Yeah. I guess somebody was jealous.
Yeah, and they caught onto it. And one summer, no, fall or summer it was when we went up there.
Yeah.
Camp was gone.
Yeah. That's too bad.
You bet.
That was back when deer hunting was really good.
Oh, man.
Tonight we're carrying on a tradition we started several years ago. It's got to be, oh God, close to 15 years now that we have a wild game feed at both camps. So one night we meet at their camp, we have the feed, and tonight we're having the feed here. Basically all wild game, including the turkey. It's home raised. Partridge, we got deer heart, we got a little bit of everything. And it's a very nice tradition. I'm glad we're carrying that on, and I hope we can do this for many years to come.
Hey, the gang. We're here and we're not here anymore. When he shot that buck, it was like 3 miles. He was 3 miles from Steve's cabin. And he shot it, you know, and he got over there and he looked, and here was that was when they decided that they had yellow. That's when the DNR said that you should wear yellow. It wasn't everybody had hunter that red and black checkers, but then they started with yellow. You should wear yellow for hunting. So Steve thought it was a good idea. He painted the deer's horns yellow, and he had a little bit on the hide of yellow on the sides, you know.
You see an 8-player, you don't care, you just shoot.
You don't see the fur, you see the horns.
Louis says, come on, you help me drag it out. So he helped them drag it out, and he went up and down those steep hills to get it out, so they didn't have to drag it in front of Steve's cabin. So then, and they get it back here, and the guys they got it hanging on the pole here, and the guys are all looking at it. And what's so funny about that deer? The hide is all chopped up on the sides, and the horns are scraped, you know, they're what's wrong with that, you know? And Louis said, I don't know. He said, that's the way it was when I saw it. He must have been fighting or whatever, you know? Then finally he fessed up. He says, I shot Stevie's buck. You know, that was, yeah. But, you know, I mean, it was 3 miles from the cabin. And that's...
41 when he got to camp. That's when he started hunting.
Well, 51 years then. 51 years?
51 years.
Years, yeah.
But you guys have been together for 62, the gang. Yeah. How was hunting back then, Sal?
Wonderful, wonderful. The deer buck, you won't believe it. And the little,
906 Outdoors is brought to you by Race Driven, your source for premier power sports products.
The old timers would get us up at 4:30 in the morning, and we would be. The standard breakfast was always bacon and eggs and pancakes, and my dad cooked the bacon and the eggs, and my Uncle Butch typically would make the pancakes, and the pancakes were, they called them cartwheels because they were so big and they were the size of the frying pan. The tradition was, everybody got 2 sandwiches, everybody got an apple, and everybody got a candy bar. And the candy bars were always Hershey's, and you didn't know if you were going to get Hershey's with almonds or Hershey plain, but that's what you got. And typically the sandwiches were 2 slices of Italian bread with some salami or maybe prosciutto in the middle. That was your lunch meats. It was the same thing for 2 weeks or a week or however long we were at camp, but that's what you had. That's what you knew what it was going to be for lunch. Sitting on a log someplace, you were going to have your half-frozen sandwiches. So you tucked your sandwiches into your belly area so that they would be at least a little bit warm. They weren't frozen if you had them in your backpack. We would leave here. It was pitch black.
we'd get up 3 o'clock in the morning and we'd leave, what was it, 4:30 or something like that. From here.
And we would drive about 3 miles, and we would walk 3 miles every morning to go to hunt in this particular area that we used to like to hunt.
People won't believe it. It's always, you know, the young folks, they won't believe it. You know, now they see deer. Oh boy, that deer we seen, I tell them. You haven't seen nothing.
No, right.
When you see 30, 40, 50 a day, then you're seeing deer.
That's the way it was. That's the way it was. No problem.
Honest. In fact. Oh boy, them days. Oh man.
We would walk that 3 miles, and with a crew usually of about 8 guys. So 4 would go take one road and 4 would take the other road, and we would kind of walk parallel on these roads to get to back where we were hunting. We had we all called them little corners. We had a little area that we hunted in. Everybody had their own little corner. They weren't very far apart when you look at it. They were probably less than a mile apart, though, by the way crow flies, but we all had our little niche in the area, and that's where we hunted for the day, and then we would walk back at night, and get back in the dark.
There was a lot of bucks. In the first morning, 4 or 5 right away like that. You bet. Yeah. Boy, that was something. That was all.
And if you shot a deer, you dragged it 3 miles. 65, I believe it was, or 66, when we had 4 bucks we shot 4 bucks in an hour and a half. We always called it the big kill because there wasn't, I think every one was either an 8 or a 10, and they shot them all within an hour and a half of each other. And I didn't get a buck that year, but we dragged those bucks out that same day because it was early in the morning when they had shot them. So we dragged those bucks out that day. We had an old Rambler station wagon, and we had them all on that Rambler, either on the roof of the car or slid into the back of it, knock the seats down, the back seat down, and throw 2 of them in there. And I'm sure my mom was real happy because there was blood all over the inside of the car, but it was a 2-wheel drive car, and so we had a lot of weight to get up the hills to get back to camp here to hang the deer up. And there was a lot of stories about dragging deer 3 miles. My first year I hunted, I was fortunate enough to get a 3-pointer, and I was flying high, of course, a 14-year-old kid getting a deer, and my dad said, "I'll help you drag." I said, "No, I'm dragging it by myself." So I dragged it by myself. He carried my gun, and I dragged the deer.
That day, Louis shot it, and when I come on the track, I see jumping, Louis was coming up. I said, "I think you shot it." I got one. And it was in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. I think of it 3 o'clock.
He said, "What do you think?" I said, "It's going out." we're gonna drag it. Louis said, no, we're gonna drag it.
Yeah.
From the burnings to the town was exactly 7 miles. And all uphill, Buck. All uphill.
And no snow on the ground.
And no snow on the ground.
That poor deer was, the hair was all there. It was like skinning a rabbit, just flesh. There was no more hair on him.
Anyway, halfway, you remember, Louis, there was them 3 guys that come by?
Yeah,
And Louis asked them, and they were going to town.
yeah, we dragged them right to town, you know.
Yeah. Louis asked them, boys, can you give us a hand, you know, see we're going that way. No, we can't. Louis said, boy, I got a good man and whack him, no lie, boy. Oh, he was mad. Anyway, it's all right, ill going. Drag. One guy carried the guns, the others to drag. That's why, Buck, you know, when they talk about drags, I laugh. A lot of them guys. Oh, we dragged far. I gotta get one to tell them, you don't know what far is. 7 miles, boy, on a button too, boy, you bet. But I mean hard going, you know, no snow. Oh, man, now like that's dragging, boy. You bet.
.906 Outdoors is brought to you in part by Blades Bait and Tackle, your hardwater connection to Little Beatty Knock.
You see how priorities changed over the years because for me it's just getting out there and being alive out there, and these guys on the far end over here, they want to still shoot the buck, which I did too in my day, but it's more than shooting the buck as we get older. It's about just being together, and then it's a bonus when we shoot
Just
the buck.
being out there.
Yeah.
If you shot one every time you went out, it wouldn't be hunting, it'd be killing.
Yeah.
That's far from the same thing.
It's being lucky, huh?
Yeah, you
Lucky's always
got
good.
you got to have a little bit of luck. Yeah.
Deer camp is not somewhere you go. It's something you do.
It's all about family and about friends, long-time friends. Over the years, associations that we have with each other, and getting out in the woods is fun, and getting a deer is a bonus. But it's all about family and friends. Yeah.
Yeah, way of life and just tradition that I wouldn't want to do without. Period.
And what?
That's it. You can't have this. You got nothing.
Yeah, it's fun go hunting, you know.
Yeah.
We have a good time in the camp, and
Yeah, you got the families, and you know.
And I love it, every minute of it. You know, I do it all the time.
It's all about the love about hunting, and everybody likes to get out in the woods and share the camaraderie that we all have, and we all like each other's company, and we enjoy being with each other.
Somewhere along the way, somebody did something, made some sort of mark, and it became a tradition. Hunting is a tradition. A camp was built, and going there became a tradition. From those traditions, new ones are born. An annual game feed, or a toast to those who have come before us and gone. Carrying on those traditions is a welcome task, passed down from generation to generation, and creates situations that bring people together. Sitting around that same table at camp, laughing, inadvertently passing stories on to a new generation anxious to follow in the footsteps of their predecessors.
Camp's about getting up in the morning, 5 o'clock, and listening about how everybody thinks the deer's coming towards them that morning, and the thoughts and the memories. And you get up, you have your sausage, your bacon, your eggs, your toast. You get up, you can get in the woods. Up in this neck of the woods, there's no bait. There's kind of standing in the woods on a hillside and hoping to God nice buck walks by you. 95% of the time, that's won't happen. But it's about being with friends and family.
Camp is a wonderful place. There's no dress code, no age limit. It's a place where success is not measured by how many deer are hanging on the pole, but by the memories you take home with you. Memories destined to become next year's stories.
Tweedy shot 18 bucks from that stump.
That's neat.
18 bucks.
Oh, is that right?
From that same stump. Oh, imagine it.
He doesn't come up here to shoot the deer because he can shoot them in his front yard, down where he lives. He comes up here so he can walk around the bush, and if the buck isn't big enough, he won't squeeze the trigger. That's what hunting's about. All these guys are the same thing. They don't need to shoot every day. They don't need to shoot the biggest deer around.
The best part about having these guys around is we have our camp dinner, and no matter what time it is, it might be 5 o'clock on the 5th day, it might be 5 o'clock on the 3rd day, everybody shows up here. And it's about tradition, hanging out, sharing stories, drinking a few beers, drinking a few coffee royals, a few more beers.
Hunting deer is a pastime and a tradition shared by many. Camp is a place that brings all of those hunters together around one table. Put the two together, along with the stories, cold mornings, hot coffee, giant pancakes, game feeds, friends, family, and all of those traditions.
We try to carry on to the tradition that the old-timers set, and we've been having a ball. I wish it'd never end.
Give it a name.
Oh, boy, them days. Oh, man.
It's Deer Camp.
Salute.
There.
Yeah, David, where's the Yukon? I've been asking for.
We're out.
We're out.
Feel free to join us on Facebook or visit us at 906outdoors.com. Thanks for watching, and we invite you to join us next week for another adventure right here on 906 Outdoors.